The Trump Accountability Project seeks to punish those who worked with President Trump or supported him in almost any capacity. But at the same time, Joe Biden is supposedly calling for unity. Those two things do not go together. At this point, most of you are probably aware of the Trump Accountability Project, how it's essentially blacklisting those who worked for and support President Trump. But if you're not, just hold on, we'll get there in a minute or two. First, let's look at Joe Biden. When the media called the election and said that Joe Biden was president-elect, his acceptance speech was essentially talking about unity, how we need to heal the divides in our country and heal our nation. And there is nothing wrong with that. The problem is that at the same time he's calling for unity, members in his own party are calling for more division. First and foremost, AOC. She and others are trying to create a blacklist of people who worked for President Trump. And if Joe Biden is the head of the Democratic Party as he claims, then his talks about unity mean nothing if AOC is allowed to continue spilling this rhetoric. This is what she said specifically. Is anyone archiving these Trump sycophants for when they try to downplay or deny their complicity in the future? I foresee decent probability of many deleted tweets, writings, photos in the future. And when people pointed out that this is pretty much a blacklist, this is going into McCarthyism, she responded, LOL, at the party of personal responsibility, being upset at the idea of being responsible for their behavior over the last 4 years. And she's not the only one calling for a blacklist like this. Jennifer Rubin from the Washington Post said that any Republican now promoting rejection of an election or calling not to follow the will of voters, baseless allegations of fraud, should never serve in office, join a corporate board, find a faculty position, or be accepted into, quote, polite society. We have a list. And a former Obama official replying to AOC said, you better believe it. We just launched the Trump Accountability Project to make sure anyone who took a paycheck to help Trump undermine America is held responsible for what they did. So apparently, because there was such a demand for a blacklist of Trump supporters, that thing actually exists. And it's called the Trump Accountability Project. This is what it looks like, and you can find it at trumpaccountability.net. And it says, remember what they did. If we scroll down a little bit, we see their mission statement, I suppose. We must never forget those who furthered the Trump agenda. We should welcome in our fellow Americans with whom we differ politically. Right there is where it should have stopped. But those who took a paycheck from the Trump administration should not profit from their efforts to tear our democracy apart. The world should never forget. Right there, you notice it has a link on those who took a paycheck. So I clicked on that link and it took me to this website called Trumptown, where their goal is to track White House staff, cabinet members, and political appointees across the government. And they have a list of almost 4,000 Trump appointees, 300 people who lobbied to President Trump, 150 people who worked at conservative think tanks, and 263 people who worked on the Trump campaign. This is a database of all of these individuals. You can look them up and find out exactly how and what they did in the Trump administration. But going back to the Trump Accountability Project, if you scroll down to the very bottom, because it's a very small page, they say that we should not allow the following groups of people to profit from their experience. That includes people who elected him, such as individuals who worked for the Trump for President campaign or the Republican National Committee. It also includes those who staffed his government, like individuals who worked as political appointees in the Trump administration, and those who funded him, individuals who used their massive personal wealth and influence to bundle money for Trump. So the stated goal of the Trump Accountability Project is to make sure that none of those individuals listed have any types of jobs in government, on corporate boards, or any real jobs at all, for that matter. They're trying to say that they should not be hired because of their affiliation or they're working for President Trump, or even supporting him to some extent. This looks a lot like McCarthyism, which I thought was something that we got past in the United States, but apparently not. I'm not a fan of AOC. I think a lot of her policies, like the Green New Deal resolution, was a complete joke. But that does not mean that I think she should never get a real job again or those who work for her. I would like it if she weren't in government, but she can do whatever she wants. The fact that any Democrat at all thinks that this is acceptable and is encouraging this is ridiculous to me. Again, at the same time that Joe Biden is calling for unity, AOC is saying, we don't need unity, let's just blacklist all of the Trump supporters and all of the Trump workers. That kind of makes Joe Biden's unity talk pointless. Unless he calls out AOC specifically by name publicly and says that things like this is not acceptable, I don't accept his talk of unity. Because you don't really mean it. If you are allowing your own party to make attacks like this, you don't really want unity. You just want people to agree with you, and that's it. So unless Joe Biden specifically calls this out, which I don't think he's done yet, I'm not going to take him seriously on his talk of unity or healing, because it's not going to happen. Fortunately, however, this article from Politico points out that while they were talking with Trump officials, few of them are taking it seriously. So at least for them, it doesn't seem like it's really going to amount to anything. But the fact that it exists at all and is being encouraged by one of the most popular Democrats right now in the House should be troubling to everyone. You better believe that if Republicans pushed something like this after President Obama was out of office, you would have heard no end of it. For the past 4 years, it would have just been about that. So that's the Trump Accountability Project. What are your thoughts on this? Again, I can't really believe that Joe Biden is talking about unity at the same time that members of his own party are pushing this forward in a very active manner. It doesn't work that way. You can't say on the one hand, let's be unified and heal the country, and then allow your Democratic colleagues to push forward a blacklist of anyone who supported or worked for President Trump. That's not how it works. Anyway, thanks for watching, sharing, and subscribing. Don't forget to check out one of these other videos that maybe you've missed. And I'll see you next time.